All right, guys, this is Black Flower Crepes joining us, and they're going to give us a tour of their food truck and show us how to make some crepes.
How you doing?
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
So just we'll start getting shown where we drive.
Yeah, so this is where Jamie is driving. This is the front of the truck, and there's
What is that? That's all what I see there.
and there's okay. So this is the kitchen.
Sink.
This is the three sink mandatory. This is
Drinks.
a little fridge for the drinks. This is some drawers.
That's where we keep the flour.
This is the flour stock.
Refrigerator with bacon, eggs, etc. I already showed them that. This is where we do a little cooking. And these are the crepe griddles. I have turned on one of them for our crepe later.
And this is
Stock of the batter and all that.
more fridge.
And there you go. It's pretty small. It's pretty cozy. But it gets the job done.
So can I ask, why do you use buckwheat crepes, or buckwheat flour, excuse me?
The buckwheat flour is the tradition in Brittany, in France, for 300 years. They started making crepes with that in Brittany because it's something that grows very easily in kind of a harsh territory. And Brittany is kind of like the equivalent to Maine here. If you can imagine trying to grow anything in Maine besides potatoes, it doesn't really work. So they started growing buckwheat there and started making crepes with them 300 years ago. And the tradition is alive and kicking today. If you go to Brittany, there's a creperie in every village, maybe two sometimes.
Okay, and what is your personal favorite? Because I know that when you work with food in a restaurant, you make the same things all day long, but most of the time we all have that one thing that we still like to eat from that restaurant. So since you make them all day, what is your favorite crepe to make for yourself?
So my favorite it's what we call the skinny French guy, which the French call the galette complète, which is the complete galette. They call crepe, the buckwheat crepes are called galettes.
Oh.
That is so it's a buckwheat crepe with melted cheese, ham, and a sunny side up egg that's cooked in the crepe as you cook the crepe. That is it's the classic. It's if you go to a creperie in Brittany, probably 90% of the people are going to be ordering that. It's kind of like going to McDonald's and getting a cheeseburger.
Got it. Isn't that like a croque madame? Doesn't that have egg, cheese, and ham in it?
Well, that's a sandwich version of the crepe, yeah, minus the bechamel sauce and the.
Oh, that's right. That's right. My students have made the croque monsieur and madame, so we've turned it into soup. We've made all kinds of things like that.
In France, there's the Americans invented fast food. The French, what they have instead of fast food is just combinations of cheese, ham, and bread.
I like the sound of that. Much better than the burgers and stuff like that. That sounds like a very healthy alternative to what we eat here.
Yeah, and it can be pretty chic too.
Yes, exactly. So what do you do when it gets really hot in there? I'm sure people wonder because it's a very small space.
So when it gets very hot, we are hot. There's no two ways around it. But we do have, we do have this, which will make a lot of noise. We turned it off for this. This is the hood, and that sucks air out of any smoke or air out, and we leave a window open so the new air comes in. We have this too, when we work in the valley and it's like 120 degrees outside, it means it's about 200 degrees in here. We do have an AC that we've used a few times just to keep from dying. Because it does get hot. It's a small area. It's all metal, and when the three crepe griddles are going, it's hot.
So I have another question. Because you're in a food truck, you have, a lot of equipment. It probably all needs to be put away before you drive to different places. So,
yes.
So what kind of things are different in your mobile kitchen that you wouldn't normally see in a kitchen that stays put all day long in like a storefront restaurant?
No, you know what?
That's because that's
not
falling.
Yeah, I mean, you have shelves in a regular kitchen too.
Yeah, but not the
with the lead.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is very similar to a regular kitchen. What we do have is, for example, to keep the refrigerator doors from opening, we have a little bungee cord that attaches like this, and that keeps these two doors from swinging open and having all the stuff fall out. We have on at least 2 occasions forgotten to put the bungee cord and arrived at our remember in the big party in Bel Air.
Oh no.
We arrived with crepe batter oozing out of the back of the truck.
Oh no, that sounds horrible.
It was horrible, yeah. It wasn't great.
And the honey.
And yeah, honey falling is never good.
One day we had a big honey pot that tipped over the food truck, and there was honey on the floor everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't fun to clean.
I can't imagine.
Nutella's not fun either. We learned that
Probably not.
That when you have this much Nutella, right? That's a big, you see, when that falls on the ground, you have at least a half an hour of cleanup because Nutella hates to be cleaned up.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So
try this.
That's very interesting. And then is it any different to clean it out? Like, do you guys hose down the floor? I mean, is it yes?
Yes. There's a lot of hosing and a lot of just basically the top to bottom soap, water, everything, and then just a hose. This hose is like a power hose.
Interesting.
It's hooked up when we go to the commissary, and everything just gets hosed. Yeah.
Very interesting. And then how long have you had the crepe truck for?
2 years. 2 years.
Did you ever have a restaurant, or have you always just had the food truck?
We had a bunch of restaurants in France. I lived in Paris for 16 years with my wife, who's still in Paris. And we had this restaurant. This is our cookbook. That's us younger.
Oh, how cool!
Called Pink Flamingo Pizza, and its pizza's like, I'll just give you a quick look, like that. That's a pizza with duck breast and goat cheese and apples.
Delicious.
That's one we called the Obama with the Canadian bacon and pineapple chutney. So it's like that, crazy pizzas. And we also had a barbecue restaurant in Paris called Floyd's Bar and Grill.
Really?
Which was where we introduced Parisians to smoked ribs.
It's funny, when I think of Paris, I don't think of pizza restaurants and barbecue restaurants, although I'm sure they exist. It's just not what I think of. It's
Paris, well, so about 16, 17 years ago? Paris went through Paris 16 years ago, there's pizzerias in every city, but definitely more Parisian, French cuisine everywhere. and everything was good. And Paris went through kind of a Brooklynization about 16 years ago. It started as we were doing Pink Flamingo. A lot of ethnic, a lot of Anglo-Saxon kind of, you know, a fish and chips place. Things started to get very Brooklyn, very organic, very hipster, and it's continued. It's continued. Paris, I think, is a lot different today than it was 20 years ago as far as the cuisine goes. But it's good. It's still based on really good cooking and ingredients. So it's good stuff.
Very interesting. Is your crepe cooker ready to go?
Yes.
Because it's lunchtime and I think our eyes are all very hungry.
Yeah. So we're gonna make the skinny French guy, this classic, because that's the one.
Nice.
I think everybody, if you know how to make this one and you eat, like if somebody comes for the first time. So this is very hot. I mean, I don't know, it's hot enough so it's hard for me to get burned, but if I touch that thing for 2 seconds, I will be very burned. It's very hot.
What temperature is it at?
I don't know. I was trying to think of that, and I can't, because it's just on a setting of 1 through 10. But it's super hot. Just to imagine, it's like I don't know, cook hamburgers on. It's like a flat top grill.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So you can see if I put a little water.
Wow.
Hot.
Yeah, you guys don't want to burn ourselves on that.
No. So this rag is a rag that I use to wipe it down, and it takes the first layer, leaves a layer of butter.
Oh.
I'm using this all day, rubbing them down. This is like every couple of days I have to change that rag because it gets dark with the butter. So we wipe that down so it's clean, and then this is the batter. The batter is made. I'll hold it up. The batter is made with buckwheat flour, water. We use salt, 1 egg per 50 crepes. So if this thing, two of these, I don't know the word. I want to say bucket, but it's not that. I'm only coming up with it in French. But 2 of these, there's 1 egg in about every 50 crepes. So 1/50th of an egg, and then a lot of butter. Because we're talking about classic French cooking, everything comes with a lot of butter. And in Brittany, they're famous for their really good butter. Again, it's kind of like Maine, Vermont. The cows up in that area have they just graze on grass all day, so they're very happy.
Right.
And they make great milk, and therefore great butter and cream and all that. So I found a good butter here in California that we use that's not maybe as good as the best of Brittany, but it's pretty darn good anyway.
Which one is it?
I can miss the crepe.
Can't tell it. That's my secret.
Oh.
We're gonna be eventually starting a farm somewhere where I'm gonna make my own butter. I'm gonna have 10 cows and just make butter all day.
Oh, how fun. I think we should all make butter after this video. I think that we should all do a class where we learn to make butter.
That is a great idea because it's way easier than you think, and the results are super satisfying.
We're gonna have to do.
All right, here we go. We're gonna do the crepe. Ready? You ready to film there, my love?
Yes.
This is my little spinner. We call it a crepe spinner. You spin.
Wow.
Way easier than it is. Dog barking. Crepe. So there's cooking. It takes about a minute to cook on the one side. The smell is of Nice buckwheat. You got it, Clyde?
Yeah.
On the griddle. Here, I'm gonna. What are you doing?
Cooking it.
Vas-y. On continue avant parce que
Flipping. All around here, we have these little bubbles that we then fill with more butter.
Of course.
Believe it or not, I'm actually light-handed with the butter compared to the French.
I love
They
butter.
have,
I
like,
put it in
bowls of
everything.
butter in front of them, and they just slop it over. Yes, and you should. It doesn't. It helps all. So there, it's starting to bubble. We flip it back over. Now we're going to take some Gruyere cheese. That's a French cheese, similar to Swiss. Got a nice tangy afterbite. Put that on. Gonna crack an egg in the middle. Then we're gonna take, what I'm gonna do here is move the white around so it gets all cooked. Ham.
Is that a special kind of ham?
It's Paris ham. It's just a cooked, a good cooked ham. You can use any ham. We make it with turkey. We make it with avocado. With any kind of ham you like. This is just I put a little bit of pepper on the yolk, a little bit of salt. Because then when we're served this, the yolk is going to be like that, sunny side up, and you break it with your fork and you spread it around your crepe. That's the professional French way to make it. Once the bottom gets nice, the bottom gets crispy, fold it in. Let the egg cook for another minute or so.
So I'm guessing that you're called black flour crepes because that crepe is looking like a black color, not burnt black, but a black color.
Right. The word for buckwheat in French is blé noir.
Oh.
Which means black wheat, basically. So we kind of did a play on that with the black flour. And buckwheat is actually the seed of a flour. It's not a grain like wheat. They call it buckwheat, but it's actually not a wheat. It has no gluten naturally, and it's from a little flour seed.
What flour?
Buckwheat.
Oh.
And again, buckwheat grows, and it grows like have you ever seen a field of canola flowers or something like that? It just grows really heartily in harsh conditions. Russia grows like 50% of the buckwheat in the world.
Wow.
They have they overgrew all their stuff during the years of Stalin and whatnot, and now they found that buckwheat grew really well, and so they just adopted their diet to what grew. All right, this is looking good. I'm gonna take it, show them how to eat it.
I like to start by the little corner. full of cheese.
Oh yes, that sounds like a good
Then
place to start.
You gotta break the yolk, like I said.
And if you want to break the yolk, sorry, it's my accent.
We love your
Then
accent.
we serve it with a little bit of green mix on the side.
Green mix.
And yeah, it's very classic for the French. Other French people living in Los Angeles are very happy to come eat this crepe at our food truck because at least that makes them be less homesick. And because I think we're the only one to do it because it's very exotic in the West Coast, the buckwheat crepe. So bon appetit.
I always say that. Bon appetit, you may eat.
Sorry?
I always tell my students that when they're allowed to eat, I tell them bon appetit, you may eat.
Yes, it's important. It makes it better.
Yes, it does. So does anyone have any questions about any of the things that we've seen or what it's like to work on a food truck or anything? You can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself one at a time. Amy has a question. She says, are you guys open every day?
Normally, we're open at least 5 days a week, and then when we have special events, which used to be often, we're open whenever there's a job. So sometimes 7 days a week. Yeah.
Right now, 5 days a week.
Right now, we've cut back our schedule a lot because things are just not moving like they used to, and yeah, we're more like 5 days a week now.
I have an interesting question. Have you guys, you do catering events. Have you ever done one for anybody famous?
We did, we had famous people coming to the food truck. We have, you know, the actress from Harry Potter.
Oh, I forget her name. The one who plays Hermione, right? Emma Watson.
Emma Watson.
Yes.
She's
Emma Watson, yeah.
She's British. She came for a Nutella strawberry crepe. We have in Manhattan Beach Steve Nash, the basketball player.
Yes, he lives
We
there.
have, what's the funny
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha
Oh.
Baron Cohen, which is vegetarian, right? He takes with avocado and cheese.
He says he's vegan, but then I said, sorry, there's butter in the batter. He says, oh, I don't mind.
And but we, yeah, private party. We did maybe the richest woman of Los Angeles. She's not famous but she's the richest woman of Los Angeles, and she booked us for 7 just to come do 7 sugar crepe, and we were paid $800 for 8.
Yes, I have had those experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Because she wanted us to come for 10 people, which we can do, but she will pay the price for just 10 people.
Right.
And we've worked on movie sets too, where we go on the movie set and feed the crew and the actors and the actors.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is. You go on the lot, and you see everybody running around doing their jobs. It's kind of fun.
Very cool. I see that Lisa has a question. So Lisa, go ahead. I'm gonna unmute you, and you can ask your question. Let's see.
What is the buckwheat?
So buckwheat is it's a flour, and it's made out of the seeds of the buckwheat plant, the buckwheat flour that comes up. So they take the seeds and they grind them up into a flour. I can show you a little bit. Oh. This is what it looks like before. It's a little bit brown. It gets this color when it's cooked.
they use buckwheat in the Japanese soba noodles.
Can we see the buckwheat flour again? Your video slowed down.
Oh. Here it is.
So it looks white like other flours, or brown?
It's a little bit brown, I guess, with the contrast. Can you see there?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's much better. Yes.
So it's a little bit brown, and if you look real close, you can see there's little specks of darker brown in it. So that's what comes out when it's cooked. I guess that would be the hull of the seed is the darker part, and the lighter part is the inside of the seed.
Oh, okay. So we have two other questions right now. Jessica wanted to know, is it easier to have a food truck versus a restaurant?
No.
It's more tiring because you have to move all the time. When you go somewhere, you have to add up the trip to the parking where there's a food truck, which is it's called the commissary.
Yeah.
You have to pick up the food truck at the commissary, which is usually half an hour from your home. After you have to go to the place, after work, after you have to go back to the commissary, and after that you have to clean the food truck every day after working, but you only can do it at the parking because there's the water, everything's set up over there. And so it adds up a lot of moving around, which is a little bit tiring. Sometimes you spend more time going somewhere than actually working.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a restaurant, you do one trip, work, you clean, then you do a trip and you're home. The rhythm of a food truck, because we had a lot of restaurants in Paris, well, one tiny food truck is more tiring than 4 restaurants in Paris.
That's really interesting. Amy had one more question. She said, where are your different locations? So where is it that you guys go to on a regular basis?
So we had a regular schedule during the week before the coronavirus outbreak. And because a lot of them, food trucks depend on you being where there's a lot of people. That's kind of the business model, is to go where there's crowds of people and sell the food to them. And now they're just as, by order, no more crowds of people. So we had that. So we used to go to office buildings. We had a place in West Hollywood called Alfred Coffee, where we'd go and park in front of the coffee shop where lots of people went. And we'd sell and serve to those people. A place in Culver City called Platform, which is like an outdoor shopping mall, like a hipster shopping mall, where there's lots of little shops and places to get coffee, etc. We'd park there on Tuesdays. Now we've had to change because those places there's no people there anymore.
Right.
We are working way more now where we live, which is in the South Bay. It's near where the commissary is, and we just decided to try to use this time where we're not doing a lot of business. Frankly, we park at there's a place in Manhattan Beach called Pollywog Park, and we go there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We've never gone there before, but we just said that's a place that's closed. The kids can come because the kids are all being homeschooled.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. It's close to home. We go there, and we go to a place down near the beach here called in Manhattan Beach called Bruce's Beach, which is our kind of a regular stop. We've been doing that for 2 years now, I guess, and that's our best place. That's where we have our regular customers. It's as close as we have to having it feel like a restaurant where we know the clientele, and they're all happy to see us come and park and that. But that's where we are today. Everything's changed a lot for the food truck business because of the coronavirus. It's not where everybody's trying to just reimagine how they're gonna do their business now, because it's not going to be the same for a while.
Right. And speaking of the coronavirus, what do you guys do to protect yourself when you go to places like Pollywog Park and Bruce's Beach?
We are always with masks. That's to protect the customers, and we encourage, without demanding, that people wear masks when they approach the truck. That we also have been, we started a new system where people can order ahead of time, tell us what time they're going to come by, and we prepare the crepes and have them already bagged up and ready to go when the people come. We just hand them to them in their car and they go, because it's already been paid. And that's what I think it's really the safest way we have. We keep ourselves clean. We don't get out of the truck. We wash our hands if we touch anything. Marie, who handles all the transactions, after every transaction, she does her hands with gel and makes sure that her phone is clean, etc. It is a lot of little extra work to do and things to think about, but we're getting used to it pretty quick.
That's very interesting. It must be very difficult to have to run a business it already sounds very difficult, that Marie was explaining. You have to go pick up the truck. You can only clean it certain places. And now you have to add a whole bunch of other new procedures that are new to you and to everyone else, of course. But, it must be, you've been doing this for a couple of years, and now you have to change it all up, and think of new ways to get this, as much business as possible.
Yeah. Well, that's small businesses like ours. There's thousands of them that are all, whether they're restaurants, food trucks, or closed stores, or whatever they're doing. Everybody's having to kind of reimagine how things are going to work for at least the next while. And that's part of being an entrepreneur and a small business owner, is that you have to be able to. We can think quick and change our business model one day to the next if we need to, and have done. It's easier for us to do that than it would if we were a huge group structure business. I don't know how they're going to do. I think the bigger your business is today, the harder it is to kind of adjust to what's going on in the world.
I'm sure. And one more question, and anybody, if you have any questions, just type them. My last question was going to be, if you could have a restaurant again versus the food truck, would you open one, since you live in Manhattan Beach? Would you open one there, for instance? And if not, why are you happier with the food truck?
We would love to open a restaurant. We were actually, without going into a lot of details about it, we were in the process of negotiating a space to do our pizza place that we did in Paris. And we had investors, and we had the location here in Manhattan Beach, and we were ready to go. And the investors were French, and they work in the airline business. And as we were about to sign, they pulled out the day that the government kind of banned flights coming in from Europe. So that didn't happen. But we were working on that as this all happened, and maybe go back to it again one day in the future, because we didn't stop all hope for that, and I hope neither did they. But for now, it's just not a great time to be an investor in a restaurant. I think there's too many questions.
Very true. I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this, and now all I want are crepes. Means that I'm going to have to come find you guys at Pollywog Park.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Good, because I plan on showing up. We thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Any more questions? Your last chance to ask. Anyone? Doesn't look like it. You guys did a very good job. We thank you so much for doing this for us. I really enjoyed getting to see the inside of your food truck, because I've always wondered what it was like to work in one. I know it must be very cramped, but to see the precautions that you guys take to make sure that things don't spill, barring the occasional tub of Nutella or pot of honey. I hope that doesn't happen to you guys anytime soon again.
No, you do that once and that's enough.
And you learn your lesson. Exactly.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, guys.